Good evening, everybody. Justin here, and I'm about to launch this webinar today on project success planning. I'm going to show my screen here. Now I have everybody in a quiet mode, and so where? Oh, there's attendees. Okay. But feel free to type in the question in your the chat box if you have any questions as I'm going through this webinar, and I'd gladly answer those questions as we go through this. Okay. And it sound, yes, I'm speaking. Okay, so welcome to Project Success Planning. My name is Justin Lutsky. I'm the National Membership Development Director. And I just, this year in 2018, I really want to shift our perspective from volunteer to leader and support one another in building relationships with one another and all new members who are joining this amazing organization. So I want everyone to take the opportunity that JC's gives us and run with it and have fun, and don't hesitate, because this is our playground where we get to make mistakes and we get to learn and prosper, and we don't get to do that in the workplace, but in JC's we get to do that, and we want to collaborate and play well with one another and have a fun time. And if it's getting negative and there's drama, then as it's your responsibility as the member to step up and say, hey, this isn't right, we need to stop, and we need to kind of maybe reset and talk about our issues and move forward and do great things, because that's what JC's is about. I just wanted to show a quick little video here before we get started with project success planning. Where is the, okay.
When you own something, you care a little more.
So I just really like that commercial. It's for a grocery store actually, but it just talks about how when you care about something, you're passionate about a project, you're going to put that much more work and effort into it. And it kind of reminds me of when I was a chapter leader and I had members that were upset that we didn't do enough family things. And so then I would really try to empower that person to put on a family project. But some of them would almost wanted me to put on that family project for them. But it was, for me, that was a moment where I needed to hold them accountable and help them figure out what kind of family projects they could come to the table with by putting together a project management guide and then getting the membership on board. Because until your membership is on board, unless your membership's on board, your project's not going to be successful, and you're not going to have that support and help from all of your fellow chapter members. So just if you have the passion and you're excited about an idea, the first step is to get a project management guide and start the process. And so the key here to a successful project planning is to realize you got to take an idea to a plan, and then you can act on that plan. And you got to think about everything. You can't just think of the day of that the project is happening and what's going to need to happen then. You got to think of what's happening before this event, starting from the day you came up with the idea to the day of the event or the activity or the project, or during its process that you've come up with, because I know some projects can last way longer than a day. And then everything after the project too. And that's what's great about a project management guide, is it gets you to think about that. So we have project planning. So why is it important to plan projects? One, they provide clear understanding. Hold on a second. Provide clear understanding for the intended outcomes and the steps to get there. Two, they provide a vision for committee members and volunteers to follow. And three, it eliminates confusion or duplication of work. Oh my gosh. I have lost my, oh, here it is. Okay. Sorry. The project management guide is so important because of these three things, but this is a tool that's helping you organize your thoughts and help you realize if your idea is going to become a reality or not, because sometimes our ideas are crazy and far-fetched, and we need to write it out and figure out a plan if it's actually logistically capable of happening. And quite often, once you fill it out and go through these steps, you often find out your idea is great and you can do something about it. And a lot of people have great ideas, and then we get frustrated because we don't know what to do with it next. So that's where the project management guide comes into play. It helps you organize your thoughts and gives you direction. Then two, it also helps others get on board with you. You're a legit person now. Your idea is legit because you actually are showing steps and a plan of how we're going to act on it. And then again, if it's a successful project, we want to do it again, and we want others to run it and help and learn from it. And then also by documenting everything, you're able to go in through again at the end and realize, oh, like we could have done this, or we should have thought about that, and then you make the project better the second year around. So I don't know if people realize that they can type in the field, but I wanted to put out a poll. So when I've already said it, so in the JC world, what does the acronym PMG stand for? We have these different options, but obviously it's project management guide. I'm sure most of you know what this is. Yes, thank you so much, Matt. Thank you for playing, even though I kind of ruined it here in the beginning. And Daniel, thank you so much. So yes, it's a project management guide, the tool to help you plan your chapter project from beginning to end. Again, it provides detailed information that can be passed on to the next chairperson the following year, or if you do this quarterly or whatnot, just depends on the project. And then documentation of budgetary projections and actual spending for financial planning. It's just such a great way to manage all of the logistics of what's going to come about with a project, and finances are definitely a big part of that. So project management guides are available on jciusa.org. It's under the, once you're logged in as a member, it's under the library tab, and then there's this national and local organization folder. When you click that, under there is a project management guides folder, and when you click under there, you can download the project management guide, and this is what it looks like when you download it. It's a Word document that you can edit. So on a PMG, there's areas and categories of opportunity. One reason this is implemented is for we want to make sure that your project aligns with your chapter's plan of action. Every year we get new leadership in place, and they put a plan of action together and kind of a directive of the goals for the year. And so you want to make sure that your project, as a member, you want to make sure your project that you're planning aligns with your project, with your chapter's plan of action for the year, and just aligns with your chapter's goals as a whole and what the membership feels like. And maybe you have an idea that doesn't, and maybe it would be a better project run on a different year, maybe when you're stepping up to be a leader on your board and you get more people on board. But just initially, when you're thinking of projects for your chapter, you kind of want to align it with the majority of the group, because they're going to be the ones that help you implement the project. It also determines a category if the project is submitted for regional, state, national awards. And we're going to go through these categories here, which are business, community, individual, and international. So under the business category, this means it enhances the economic development for the chapter or community. It could fall under a public relations project, a strategic planning project, a fundraiser for chapter operations, or a fundraiser for your chapter fees and dues as part of being part of JCs. Maybe your chapter is going to pay for all of your membership dues, and so you would create projects specifically annually to help pay for those, and that would fall under this business area of opportunity. Example projects are festival parades, board retreats, just other things that have to do with the economics of your chapter. The other area of opportunity is community. This enhances the community through civic engagement, fundraising for charities, community service, government involvement, government meetings, meeting with your local mayor's office, and things like that. Then project examples for this could be a holiday food baskets, clothing drive, Relay for Life, Nothing But Nets fundraiser. Again, the advocacy meetings with the government, just different ways that get your name out there in the community. It's also could be a project to build relationships with other community organizations, as a good example. The other third area was individual, which this enhances the member's personal and professional skills and engagement in the chapter. So trainings, member recruitment, retention, social functions. Examples include new member orientation, an M night, chapter awards, just different functions that really focus on the members of your chapter, especially with the trainings or hosting an event that's about developing the skill set of our members. We have the individual development VPs at the local level in a lot of our chapters. These people work with the members to find out what they want to learn and come up with projects, and that's where the individual area fits into place. And we all have members with different skill sets and talents. We can be utilizing those members to come in and learn to speak and put on a presentation about their field of interests and area of expertise to share with the rest of the group, to give them just a little leg up on that area of expertise that they have. Then there's international, which just enhances the members' interaction with JCI on multiple levels. So chapter visits, regional and state meetings, national program involvement, international programs and events. Examples include, nominating a local top outstanding, a 10 outstanding young American. Some states do host this program as well, and it's the 10 outstanding young people of that state. There's also Leadership Training University and JCI Twinning. These are other examples of how to put on an international project. I could even see it just running an on-to program to go to an international event or a national event as well. So that's what falls under the international category. So when it comes to filling out a PMG, there's 10 questions. The first question is the primary purpose. So you want to figure out the overall primary purpose of this project. You might kind of have 5 purposes of what you're going to want to do, but really nail it down to one purpose. What is the final result of this project, and why are you putting this project on? And write out a statement that says your primary purpose for putting on this project. 2, the second question, and the second question is larger, so there are different parts, but the project overview is, who, what, when, where, and why. Who is going to be involved in this project, who's going to be affected, who's going to be impacted from it. What are you doing? When are you doing it? Where are you going to do it? And why are you doing this? Why, and the why is the primary purpose, essentially. Then the second part is the project benefit. Is it going to help the member, chapter, the community, other partners that you work with? What's the end result benefit of the project? And then the goals, which fall in line with that benefit. But come up with SMART goals, and those are goals that actually have measurable results at the end. Figuring out ways to measure those results, measure the results that you're going to receive from your project. And it's okay to have negative results. We're in JCs, and that's why we get to possibly fail or not hit our goals. And just because you raised $800 and your goal was to raise $1,000, you're still kind of winning. So then the third question is to figure out your steps to implement. So this includes a chart where you can have your completion dates, your people responsible for the different tasks that you're going to take action to make the project happen. And in the PMG, it has a nice chart where you're able to kind of fill out, well, we need this person to do this task by this date. That way this person can do this task by that date. And sometimes there are tasks that aren't reliant on other people to do, and so they can be held at the same time. But this kind of creates just a nice little task list and a calendar of when things need to get done by. When people are very good at project management guides, you could go to the next level and create a Gantt chart, which is a nice chart that pinpoints dates on a timeline and shows how everything's going to come together and where things overlap. And it just gives a chairperson and their committee a good overview of the project. And that's a more advanced level of marketing and project management, but that is JCI training as well. So if you're interested in that, let us know, reach out, and we can see about getting that project put on in an area near you, as long as we can get 6 people present for that. So number 4 is the critical contacts. That is for the project committee. You're going to want all the contacts of the chair people, the partners that you're working with, the venue, who to contact there, contacts of the local media to help promote your project. This is you just want to put all this information with the context of the people involved in the people on your committee that are involved in the project, so that next year someone can reach out to find, if the chairperson maybe moved away or they can't get a hold of them, there's other people we can contact who are involved in the project. They're going to have some awareness of maybe the questions that you're going to have. But we want to remember, it's not just the contacts for the committee people involved, but also just other contacts that you're going to need for the success of the project, especially the venue and vendors and whatnot. So number 5 is regarding materials, supplies, and resources. This is just, what are the materials, supplies, and resources that you need to put on this project? Do you need catering? Do you need a venue? Do you need shirts? Do you need pens? What kind of vendors do you need there? What is happening to the event? And just list it all so that you can then start assigning members to grab these things, and then you put that you put all that back up in number 3 once you figure out those resources that you need and figure out who's going to get that on your committee or in your chapter to help get the project done. Number 6 is the project budget, which in the end, it needs to be balanced. And the next slide, I'm actually going to show a little bit more about project budget. And then 7 is potential problems and solutions. So, when we're coming into an event or a project that we're putting on, we want to kind of be ahead of the game You know, you have an outdoor project. What happens if it rains? Let's figure out some solutions and let's implement steps so that we can make sure that the project is still successful despite some of these problems. There's potential problems with every project, and so it's just great to be ahead of the game on that and to have your solutions already ready and in place. I know I've been involved in projects where we kind of had to think on our feet because something happened that we had no clue. But maybe if we would have taken more time that part of the PMG, we could have thought about more problems and had solutions ready on hand so that we're able to just completely think on our feet and be ready. So when it comes to that budget, and I'd say the budget is such an important part of PMG, and this is where you're going to get buy-in from your chapter. If you have an idea that you've developed through the project management guide, you're going to have this budget and you might be asking them for money. And so this is the part that's going to be really important to your chapter because they don't want to just hand out money for any project and to any member just because. And this shows that you've thought it through financially and that it's going to be okay and we want to move forward with this project. Again, on the last page, I stated about how in the end, the total income and the total expenses in your budget should equal the same number. And I've been confused with that in the past when I was starting this organization and getting involved in project management guides. But essentially, you know, if you're getting, you got to count donated items as an income, but then you also include them as an expense because you use them during the project. And then also planning in your income of how much money you're going to make, and then you're going to expend it out back to your chapter or to a recipient, like a donor recipient. And so that's how in the end your income and your expenses equal the same. But in the end, it's just always good to plan out your budget and figure out the value of what things cost and know that you're going to use them, so they're going to be an expense and whatnot. Are there any questions on this? Oh, hold on a sec. I see we have a question for Hannah. As a new chapter and filling out a PMG first time, we had a hard time with the budget. There isn't, but I could totally put one on for that. Are there any, I mean, I'm totally good to take questions right now if you have questions just specifically about the budget portion of this. And I can wait a second here for people to type. But it would be good to sit through this and have a separate one that's just specifically about budgets, and we could even get one of our treasurers to put this on, because the budget is such an important part of the project management guide and success of this project. If there are no, oh, here we go, okay. We just had an event that was ran completely on donation. We didn't spend a dime, but raised $1,500, and making the budget look right was difficult. And I guess that's what I'm saying, where I was confused on that. And so if you were given all these donations, you're going to list the donations as an income, but then you're also going to list those donations as an expense because you used them to put the project on. And I know it seems weird, but essentially because you got these as an income, you use them as an expense to get the $1,500. And so that's how the donations kind of mark themselves out. And I guess even if even if donations were in cash form and that's how you raise $1,500, that's just where it comes in as an income and as an expense. And on that expense, you know, the $1,500 is going to go back to your chapter or to a recipient donor if that was what that was for. Hannah, does that kind of answer your question? I get still where the value of donated items. I mean, if it's a donated cash to help you put on the project, then it's going to be listed as an income source. And then that income source would be listed. Then it's on the flip side is the expense is going to be paid back to the chapter. So say you got 1,500. Say you put on this, and there's other things dealt here, but you got a $1,500 donation through this fundraiser, and it's going to be listed under other sources of income. But then you're going to return the $1,500 to the chapter or donate it to somebody, and that's where $1,500 will be listed down here. Okay, well, I get how it's confusing, and I will bring this up to our national team and see if we can get that figured out and put into a training specifically. There's a lot of in-kind donations as far as venue, all the food, all the promotional materials, all the silent auction items, entertainment was all donated. Well, and like I said, it's confusing, but that's like, say the venue was donated, and maybe you would list it as $0, and then you're going to expense it as $0. Or if you know that it was a donated value of the venue is usually $500 to rent, then you would put that, and then you're going to expend that $500 as a donated item. And kind of the same thing with the silent auction items. They were donated, there's a value to them, and then they were expended through the project. But I get what you're saying, Hannah. Thank you. Okay. Well, I will talk to one of our treasurer financial people and see about putting on a specific budget training here. Yeah. Okay. Yes, and then Hannah said that makes sense, and then it would all equal out. It's just kind of a weird, if you're not in finances, which I'm not, it's kind of a weird technical process to go through, but it is just a great way to be able to line item all of the values of everything that was used to put on this project. And then because budgets are supposed to zero out and cancel, the income cancels out the expenses, so you end at a zero. That's how it was successful, and you figured you kind of balanced out your entire budget and it worked out. And that's just kind of a financial process that anyone who doesn't take financing in college or high school or school or just isn't good at finances is going to have a difficult time understanding, which I'm one of those people. And I'm just glad that we have financial people in the world that can help out. But if we can get one of those guys to explain and educate us on budgeting and the budget process, that would be even better. Okay, so thank you, Hannah, for your questions. So after you have your first 7 questions filled out in a project management guide, there's a few steps. One of those includes getting approval by your board. And I know some chapters will just bring this to a general meeting and the whole membership right then can vote on it. But it's good to also kind of just get your board of directors on board with your project, and bringing your filled out project management guide to a board meeting and sharing it with them and showing them that you've put heart and soul into a document that shows that this project could be legitimate and real is just amazing. And in my own chapter, I don't see members, they have ideas and they start running with projects, but they're not filling out the guide. And so there's so much room for error and so much room for failure. Instead, if they work through the process of filling out the project management guide, the opportunity for success is so much greater. The other next step, so after the board is approved, is to recruit committee members to get other people in your chapter that are excited and passionate about your idea and your project as well. And sometimes these can go in different orders. I know that if I was putting a project on, I'd probably be collaborating with other members already, and then we would go as a group to get our board of directors on board. But our organization is based on empowering the individual, and so if an individual had an idea and we've empowered them to come to the table, and maybe they don't know as many members or know anybody, they just joined. This is kind of the steps they would go through. And then the final step is to publicize the project. And I think some projects get lost and they forget that we need to publicize it and come up with a social media campaign and or schedule, even just to let the community and the members and everyone know about this project so it's successful. That even comes to the end of the event, publicizing the results of it and what happened because of it. And, you know, a lot of our JC projects are known for the project that happened, but not the results. My chapter does a Haunted Hollows, and everyone knows about the Haunted Hollows, but no one knows about the fact that we spend $20,000 in the community and we give families and senior citizens Christmases, and we put on programs for young kids, and there's just so many great things that come out of that project. And I wish that's what we were known for, because I really believe that more people would join our chapter if they knew the great things that our members were getting to do with that money raised by the project that's known. So it's just such an integral part of a project, is getting the word out about it and then getting the word out afterwards as the results came in and what occurred because of this great project that was put on. So during the project execution, implementing the project, again, we want to figure out the committee roles. We want to figure out if we're going to have important guests in attendance. We want to get our vendors figured out. What vendors do we need there to make the project more successful? Or, if you're catering it, or at our big events, we want other people there to bring more attendance. Sponsors and partners, you want to get out there and get other sponsors involved, because they're going to promote your project for you as well, and it's not just on your back to promote. They'll help you. They'll let you put up signs and banners in their businesses. They could send out emails to an email list to who they have to connect with, and then using social media to promote it, and then making sure that I think this is also underutilized, that every project that's put on in a chapter can be a membership opportunity to get members. And so making sure that you have some sort of membership or information about your chapter and the JC organization available at the project. I mentioned this the Haunted Hollows. If our members had a membership table at the Hollows, you have access to 3,000 attendees of people that you could be educating, that they can be part of this fun project too. We also do a kickball program, and we can be having our members present, other members that maybe aren't playing kickball, just present to be there to share with the 60 young active people in our community playing kickball, to share and say, yeah, like our people like you are putting on this project and it helps create fun activity. Do you want to get involved in our chapter? We do a ton of other things. What are you passionate about? Oh, this is how you can get involved. So it's just another way to start the conversation to get more people in your chapter, and more people in your chapter means more successful projects, because you have more manpower and more minds that have different ideas and different perspectives. And then I was also going to mention with when you get partners, or you figure out you're going to donate funds from the project to somebody. I know sometimes people will put on projects and they want to help everyone out. So they're going to raise this money and they're going to divvy it out to 20 organizations, and they're just going to give them money. And while that is amazing and great, I worry that it's washing out the impact that the project could make. If you were to more focus on one recipient, that recipient might work more with you to help bring you volunteers and help promote the event, because sometimes when they feel like they're competing for funds with other groups, then they're just going to gladly take your money and they're not going to work hard to help you. And so the more that you work with a partner and figure out, hey, like if here's our project management guide, and this is what we've proposed in our budget of how much money we're going to raise and how much money we're going to allocate to your organization. What could we do with this money to help your organization even better? So how can we help your organization create sustainable change within it to be even better? So instead of giving an organization a $500 check, maybe we have great conversations with this organization to figure out instead of just balancing your budget at the end of the year, what are some things that we could do with you to help your organization become better? Do you need new computers? Do you need office updates? Do you need office supplies? Do you need other things? Especially in education, there are teachers that just need tons of supplies to provide children, and that makes a huge impact instead of just giving the school money and then the school will just use it for their bottom line. Because a lot of organizations and nonprofits that we're donating funds to, at the end of the year, they're just looking for funds to help balance out their budget, because they're just making decisions on their end that might not be positive to their organization, and so they end the year in the negative. But the JCs could be working with them to help them focus on being sustainable and progressing forward, versus constantly annually just balancing their budgets. So that's just my thought on figuring out who you're going to give donations to from your successful projects. You also, when executing a project, is just thinking of logistics. So make sure you think about, are you going to need a license or a permit? If you're doing an outdoor activity, you want to make sure and talk to the city or the county and figure out if you're able to put on this project, and then get the licenses and the permits. If you're going to have a nice social with alcohol provided, do you have the right permits and licenses to have alcohol served at the events, or are you getting a vendor that has all that figured out for you? You just want to make sure and think of these things. The emergency plans, if there's an emergency, what are you going to do? How do you get people evacuated or exited from the building or the venue? Make sure that just everyone involved and the members helping volunteer and man this event or activity or project are prepared for any emergencies. Make sure there's signage at the event. It's just another place of communication. Oh, we want to make sure that the right message and the right things are coming to the attendees and the people attending the project, or the people giving funds to the project, so that they clearly know the results and what's going to happen. Because the last thing you want is someone not aware of what the purpose of this event or project was, and they totally miss the ball, and they don't pay for the ticket, and they don't come, and they don't know where to go, and now they're angry at your chapter. Name tags, sign-in sheets, seating charts, diagrams of the space, the flow of how you, if you're putting on some sort of like professional work, interview, training, maybe there's different stations and you want to figure out how people are going to go through it. So, in our haunted hollows, we have a trail. So we figure out the diagram of where the people are going to tour through and stopping them from going places, because we're outdoors in a park and there's alternate ways to go. Payment collection, are you going to just accept cash? Are you going to do cards? Are you going to have a PayPal account? Where's the money going to go? Who's going to have it? Who's going to get it to the bank? Or do we trust that person? Do we want, do we need two people to be in charge of this so we don't have any corruption? Just all of these logistics need to be figured out. The last thing is just AV and electronic needs. Is it an outdoor event? How are you going to get power to something? Are you putting on a training? Do we have a projector and a screen? Do we have tablets of paper for people to write on? Just those are the type of logistics that are figured out by filling out a project management guide and thinking through all those logistics. So After you've had this great successful event, or maybe you're really sad and your event wasn't as great as you wanted, you want to evaluate it. So that's where the last 3 questions of the project management guide come into play. So number 8 is recommendations for future chairpersons and committees to review. And so that's where you just go through and list and kind of bullet out, these are the things that happened at our event, and this is what we think we should have done instead. And this would have we feel like now, after the fact, hindsight is 2020, this is what would have been a better thing to do. And even just listing other ideas. Oh, well, maybe you could do this instead of that, or maybe we could add this to enhance the project. And I would suggest we never do that again because it just was horrible. But at least it's documented and it's written, and so the next committee that takes that project over can see that, and they can decide maybe the horrible thing that happened, your committee really had no solutions for it, but maybe the next committee says, oh, like we could still do that, but let's tweak it a little bit, and it's going to be successful now. But at least you were able to document and show what happened, what went wrong, and now they can move forward and be better the next time. Number 9 is the results. Did you achieve your goals? And so that's listing out the goals that were listed out earlier in the PMG. They're listed out again here, and then evaluating each goal and what was the benefit from it, and a benefit to the member and the chapter and the community. And then number 10 is just an appendices of financials, receipts, flyers that were made, a copy of all the pieces that were put out, advertising, social media, photos from the event, your press release that was put out so that it's easy to just grab that and retype it up, even, and if you it's great to keep these digital now, so people can just grab these files in from a folder and update them for the following year. Any contracts that were from a hotel or from the venue or the outdoor space that was utilized and rented from whomever. And then again, any other contacts that are not included earlier in the PMG, just kind of place in this appendices area. So are there any questions on any of the project management guide or any of the questions that are asked in this or regarding evaluation? So another project success poll. My project will be a success if the following happens. The chapter breaks even and makes money. B, the TV station does a story about the project. C, project misses its goals and or gets canceled. Or D, all the above. I wish you could see my face as I see the answers. And yeah, it's because Hannah said A, which is amazing and what should happen, but D is kind of the answer, Danielle. Because even if a project misses its goals and gets canceled, we're in JCs and it's a place to learn and grow. And I feel like it's a success as long as everyone comes from that perspective and that place, and we kind of limit anger and drama, and know that it was a learning opportunity and that it's okay. Yeah, if someone like really royally screwed up the project because they embezzled all the money that was made or something, then that's a legal problem that needs to be handled between that member and the board and the member and possibly lawyers or whatnot. But in the end, the projects, all of this is a success. Okay, so Matt asks, but how can the TV station? I mean, honestly, the TV station doing a story is a success because you're promoting your chapter and promoting the project, and probably the goals that came out of that project. where, like I said, if a TV station does a story on our haunted hollows, we're gonna make sure that we communicate and share with them that, oh, all the proceeds are going back to our fall holiday projects where we give back to the community, and so it counts as a success, I guess. Does that make sense? Okay. And then last but not least is to celebrate. Always take time to thank the people that were involved. I know a lot of chapters that put on kind of thank you events after a big project. It's just a social and a nice time to thank them, and they order, Little Caesars pizza that's affordable, and just have everyone come together and thank them. And if you don't even put an event, it's nice to just reach out, text them, call them, thank them for their help and their support in the project. And even if it was a big flop, reach out to those people that came and worked so hard to try to make it a success, because they're going to want to return for the next project or the next thing that you want to do and try to succeed at. So that's the big thing, is just always make sure to celebrate, be grateful. Be grateful that we have JCs where we can fail in a project. But quite honestly, if you filled out the project management guide, it's really hard to fail at a project. And I honestly believe that. So with that said, are there any other questions besides the idea of making sure that we look into putting a specific budget, filling out a budget type webinar? And Matt, I guess I just realized I answered your question wrong. How can the TV station do a story if it's canceled? I'm trying to think of that. Like, my thought is, if they had done a story before it got canceled, if it got canceled, like if our Haunted Hollows had a rain out and we couldn't do it, then maybe we'll get the news station to still do a story on it and talk about how we're going to do a makeup night, or we're going to push it to a different date. Because if the project is truly that great, why not try to promote it and put it on again at a later time? Is my thought process. Oh, okay. Oh, awesome. Oh, okay. So they did the story for Danielle, even though it got canceled. So that's awesome. Any other questions? You can ask me anything. It doesn't have to be about project management guide. You got me all ears, and I'm right here for you. I appreciate everyone that took time tonight took time out of their Thursday nights to get online and listen to a webinar. And I hope that people are able to listen to this recording and get some sort of insight into making successful projects. I really think sometimes we overcomplicate things in JCs, and it truly is, if you put in the effort and the work and you use the programs and the pieces we have, the documents and the online things available to our members, it's really hard to fail. And so, like I said, if members are actually filling out a project management guide, it's really hard to fail. And I've lately also been saying, because we tell members no a lot, we often, we have all of our members have different personalities. We have those members that are always in your face and they have ideas, but they never follow through. And so, we kind of might fall into this place where we're just no, I don't want to talk to you about it anymore. No. Well, instead of saying no, why don't we physically hand them a project management guide? And as a board or as leaders within our chapter, maybe it's good to have a few project management guides printed out in our purse or our messenger bag or backpack, And just when a member approaches us with an idea, or maybe even say, hey, I'm going to email you a link to the project management guide, and say, I want you to run your idea that you're constantly hustling me about, and I want you to run it through a project management guide. And if that member's idea is truly that crazy, they won't have the energy to fill out the project management guide. And then you can hold them accountable to that and say, you keep coming to me with this idea, but I haven't seen your project management guide yet to prove that you wanted to do it. Exactly. So yeah, Danielle said doing the PMG is a great accountability tool. I never thought about it that way. Oh yeah. So this is the device that you have as a JC to hold people accountable and kind of let them put their money where their mouth is. And if they're truly going to fail, they're not going to fill it out and they're not going to follow through. And that's it. And that's okay, because you empowered them and they got to empower themselves. And if they didn't, then that's on them and it's not on you anymore. And you stayed true to you as a JC and you empowered them. And so I really recommend that. And you don't have to carry PMGs on you. You could literally send them an email or a text link to the PMG document on the website. But either way, that's how you do it. I just always inspired by members. I'm so grateful for the people that got on this webinar. If you don't have any more questions, I'll let you to your evening. We're at 52 minutes tonight of your time. Again, my email is on this slide here. Please email me if you need anything. If you want me to do a specialized training to your chapter, if you want to, that's a project. If you want to gather your members in one night and you all come to the table, and I'm going to get a few of you that are going to come to a venue with internet access and you want to live stream me in here from Colorado, I'll talk to your members about anything and I'll help you guys think of ideas of projects or recruitment tactics, or we'll get someone on there to do a budget. Whatever you need, please reach out to me. I'm here to help you and support you. Whatever you need, this is your organization, your membership, and I want to empower you because I want you to be successful, and I guarantee you guys will be the ones running your communities and our world after JC's is all said and done. So thank you so much and have a great night.